The 1920s roared into America with jazz, Model Ts, and skyscrapers promising freedom and possibility. But beneath the glitter, a new power was rising in immigrant neighborhoods, a shadow called the American mafia. Born from Sicilian traditions and American hardship, the mafia offered a twisted path to the American dream, built on fear, loyalty, and violence. Immigrants facing poverty and prejudice found little help from authorities, so secret societies filled the void, enforcing their own brutal justice. These early mafia groups, bound by omerta, which is a code of silence and honor, this became a ladder for ambitious outsiders. The underworld offered respect and wealth to those ruthless enough to seize it. Before the 1920s, these gangs were typically local, fighting over small rackets like gambling and extortion. But the coming decade would hand them an opportunity so vast it would transform street thugs into kings. A single law, meant to make America more moral, would instead unleash the greatest crime wave in its history. The stage was set for the rise of the American mafia. The shadows were about to take center stage. On January 17, 1920, prohibition began and alcohol was outlawed, but the thirst remained. The mafia saw their chance. Millions wanted a drink, and now it was illegal. Gangs organized quickly, smuggling liquor from Canada and the Caribbean, setting up secret breweries, and hijacking rival shipments. The profits dwarfed anything they'd seen before, fueling rapid expansion. With cash flowing in, they bought fast cars, powerful weapons, and most importantly, people, including police, judges, and politicians. Corruption spread, eroding law and order in every major city. Speakeasies, which are secret bars, multiplied, where jazz played and illegal booze flowed, attracting everyone from workers to celebrities. Behind nearly every speakeasy was the mafia, collecting profits and building empires, and prohibition, with the intention to purify the country, instead made gangsters into celebrities and power brokers. The law had created a black market empire. The mafia was now unstoppable. The thirst for forbidden drink had built a criminal dynasty. By the 1920s and 30s, the mafia ran like a dark corporation. At the helm, the boss, below him, the lieutenants and crews of soldiers enforcing the mob's will. Loyalty and fear kept the hierarchy tight. Any one mistake could mean death. Bootlegging was the engine, but profits funded gambling, labor racketeering, and more. They ran illegal casinos, controlled the numbers racket, and infiltrated unions. This meant extorting businesses and stealing from pension funds. Violence was business strategy. Rivalries settled with bullets. Events such as the St. Valentine's Day massacre occurred. Corruption was their shield. Police, prosecutors, and politicians were bought, making the mob seem untouchable. They lived openly, flaunting wealth while the law looked away. The mafia's grip tightened and their reach growing with every dollar. Crime had become big business. The American underworld was now an empire. Al Capone, Chicago's kingpin, embodied the gangster era. He built an empire on illegal liquor and gambling, earning millions and living in luxury. Capone played the public, posing as a benefactor, but ruled with ruthless violence. The St. Valentine's Day massacre cemented his infamy and turned public opinion against him. Meanwhile, in New York, Charles "Lucky" Luciano saw a better way. Luciano ended bloody gang wars by creating the Commission, a national mafia board to mediate disputes and coordinate crime. This innovation turned the mafia into a nationwide syndicate, moving deeper into legitimate businesses and labor unions. Luciano, unlike Capone, preferred the shadows, transforming the mob into a stable, enduring empire. The mafia was no longer just street gangs. It was organized. It became corporate, and it was here to stay. The kings of the underworld had built a criminal dynasty. Their power would shape America for decades. The mob's golden age had begun. Law enforcement struggled against the mob, outgunned, outmaneuvered, and often corrupted. Police and officials were on the payroll and tipping off gangsters and ignoring crimes. The federal government changed tactics, targeting mobsters' money instead of their violence. Elliot Ness and the Untouchables raided Capone's breweries, chipping away at his profits and image. Meanwhile, forensic accountant Frank Wilson painstakingly built a tax evasion case. In 1931, Capone was finally convicted for tax evasion and sentenced to prison. His downfall sent shockwaves through the underworld, proving no one was untouchable. Prosecutors used similar tactics to convict other mob leaders, including Lucky Luciano. The government had found new weapons in the fight against organized crime. The battle was far from over, but the tide had turned. The law was learning how to fight back. Prohibition's end in 1933 hurt the mafia's profits, but their empire endured. They shifted their focus to gambling, unions, loan sharking, and drugs, with the Commission ensuring order. The mafia became a permanent shadow in American life, a hidden power beneath society. The mob era left a deep scar. Corruption bred cynicism, and gangsters became legends in pop culture. Their stories glamorized crime, masking the suffering they caused. Law enforcement evolved, creating the FBI and new laws to dismantle entire crime families. The flamboyant gangster era faded, but the organization survived, becoming quieter and more secretive. The mafia's story is a cautionary tale, how laws can have unintended consequences and how ambition and violence can twist the American dream. The echoes of the Roaring Twenties still linger in America's soul, and the shadows of the mob have never fully disappeared. Their legacy remains a dark chapter in the nation's history. The American mafia's rise and fall changed the country forever.